Hi guys, it's Gaston. For my project, I decided to do something a little bit differently. I was gonna do it on my favorite game, Space Station 13, as it happens to work with databases, SQL, and there's even forum posts on it. But I was watching a basketball game and something caught my eye. Statistics. As a huge basketball nerd and statistics nerd, I love always seeing how these players perform. Usually when I'm watching the game, and I realized these are all this data is stored in databases. So, um, I thought I'd do my research on sports databases and how just sports utilize data and databases as a whole. One of my favorite websites, Basketball References, is a good example of that. It does these tables kind of like what we're used to seeing in class, and does everything from per game averages, from points, field goal percentages to their totals, to even things such as their salaries. It's quite comprehensive, and this is all stored in a big database, and uh, using SQL, they they display this, and it's really interesting. And this led me to a couple questions. It's how is this data gathered, and why is it gathered? What are some of the uses? Looking into this website, I found that they use stats, which is uh, this pretty much this comprehensive historical sports database, and a lot of companies use it for a whole lot of reasons. And sports statistics go a whole long way, and as you can see here, their clients range from Microsoft to Snapchat, sports teams like PSG. So list goes on. There's even other sites like this one right here. Um, and I found this article on the Sport Journal, Information Technology for Sports Management, and it talks about how relational databases are used in sports, and it's a lot more than I would have thought. It's used for pretty much virtually everything, um, from scheduling events that happen to have qualified referees who could, you know, have their availability that day for that specific event, and something that without databases would take hours to do. By the way, these highlighters super useful Chrome extension. Um, they're used for administrative purposes, for connecting with fans, and I thought that was all really cool. But even more fascinating to me is how they use databases to win games. Uh, this article kind of talks about how sports analytics are helping teams perform better and win games, and by gathering this data, storing it in databases, and then seeing how the pretty much manipulating the data to see how it correlates to wins, they're able to get teams to perform better, and this has led to a revolution. And it started with baseball. Here it talks about Moneyball, and there's even a movie about it, but it's now going into basketball, it's going into football, soccer, and that's quite amazing. There's this research paper called "The Role of Databases in Sports Science: Current Practice and Future Potential," which goes even more into depth of how databases are helping different aspects of sports. Everything from player injuries, uh, how players could avoid injuries and how they could recover quicker, to how coaches could teach better moves, how players could perform better movements. It's all using databases and studying that data. There's this website called 538, which is started by a data scientist. Has a whole bunch of lists. Really, let me show you right here. Oof, where is it? Oh, I'll show you in a bit. But they have this specific one, uh, Carmelo rankings, that has actually been predicting the last couple playoff NBA finalists actually for the last, I would say, 8 years. And it's really cool because it grabs this data from different databases, from different tables, and then does these predictions, and it's quite fascinating that you're able to adjust everything really. Um, there's this has led to this data science has led to sports analytics conferences, to you know uh, how it's revolutionizing sports. uh, you know it's really changed the whole aspect of sports.